One of the biggest points of contention that parents of little kids have with grandparents of little kids hinges on making opportunities for the grandkids to be with their grandparents. For some reason, grandparents think it's all on the parents to orchestrate these moments, and that we're the ones who need to be inviting them into opportunities and creating gatherings and going to their home on holidays and on weekend road trips and all the different things. They can't fathom how hard that actually is and how much of a burden that is. For parents who are wiping butts and making choices and begging children to eat green beans and breaking up fights every single day, it's wild to me that grandparents don't understand just how hard that is. If this situation sounds familiar to you, I've got some things you can do. First of all, you need to have a really potentially hard, honest, open conversation with your parents. If they are always asking, why aren't you bringing the kids over? Why aren't you doing this? And why don't you come see me more? And laying that guilt trip on you. If you haven't had a reasonable conversation with them, you need to do that. Find the time to talk to them. Now, most of our parents are reasonable, or they can be. I know there's some that are incredibly petty. And I've seen those comments in my post about parents who just don't get it. These grandparents are selfish and rude, and they will cut themselves off from the grandkids before they change their ways. And so if you're in that situation, there's really nothing you can do about it. But for the rest of us who have parents who are relatively reasonable, I think an open, difficult conversation is something that could help. And what I mean by that is you need to be a little bit blunt, because if you tiptoe around their feelings too much, there's too much of an opportunity for them to think it's not that big of a deal and then just brush your feelings aside. But if you have a hard, specific conversation about how the burden of planning activities, doing the road trips, going out of your way to get the grandkids with the grandparents is overwhelming, I think that can go a long way. The next thing you can do is come up with a game plan, okay? Come in ready to say, hey, here's how I'm gonna help with this problem. So let's say in the past year, you have done 10 road trips to see your parents, or you've created 20 different things that your grandparents or the grandparents can do with their grandkids. Say this year, I'm gonna do half as much. I'm going to visit, make the road trip half as many times. I'm gonna make half as many opportunities for you to hang out with my children as I did the previous year. However, I invite you to pick up the slack. You can come to us 5 more times than you did last year. You can create 10 more opportunities to be with your grandkids than you did last year and meet in the middle. Make it clear you're not forbidding them to see your kids. You're just asking for a little bit of help to carry the burden of those visits and those hangouts and those trips. Finally, I need you to fight the inclination to feel guilty about thinking of yourself in this situation. It is so easy for our parents to just very subtly yet effectively lay a guilt trip on us for not doing enough to get the grandkids to see them. But you need to fight that temptation to feel bad about this. Of all the people in this scenario, you deserve to be more selfish than anybody else. Most of our parents spend a lot of their free time watching cable news and making problematic Facebook posts while you're at home wiping bottoms and begging kids to eat food and working your tail off at work and then coming home and making dinner. And you're doing all this stuff. It is okay to be selfish. It is okay to say to your mom and dad, listen, I love you so much, but your life is so different from mine. You should have the bandwidth to make these things happen. You should have the bandwidth to come see us more. You should have the bandwidth to take my kids with you. And I want them to see you, but it's not on me to create these memories for you. You've got to put in some work. And if they can't handle that, one of two things are going to happen. One, they are going to suck it up and they're going to do it. And they're going to make more opportunities happen, and they may grumble about it, but they're going to do it. Next, they may be petty and they may say, well, I just don't want to see them. And honestly, it's not on you to try and fabricate these nice memories and this legacy of moments if they're not willing to do any of the work. So do not feel bad about that. Do not think twice about saying, if you don't want to do more work, I'm not going to do as much work as I was doing to make these things happen. And I think most parents will come around. Some will be petty, and it is what it is. But it's on us to set the boundary. Otherwise, we're going to continue to get steamrolled by their overt guilt trips or their passive-aggressive comments trying to make us feel bad about thinking of ourselves first. And of all people in the situation, you should think of yourself first, because you spend all your time thinking of the kids. You shouldn't also have to think of your parents and how you're going to make their life with the kids better. Now, if your parents do start stepping up, I need you to be more open-handed with your kids. A lot of times we want to hold tight what they eat and where they go and who they're with. And you can't let your parents do anything and everything, but your kids will survive if they eat junk food all day. Your kids will survive if they go do that kind of activity you're not super pumped about. Just be a little bit more open-handed. I'm not saying let them do anything and everything. We have to have boundaries for our kids, but if they want to go to an activity outside of your comfort zone and it's not that big of a deal, let them. If they want to have that food or that meal or that snack with your parents and you kind of don't love that, but it's not going to kill them, just let it happen. Because the more stipulations you put on your kids that are not required, the more your parents are going to balk at the request to do more on their part to make those things happen. So when you can, be open-handed, but when things are really important, set the law down and make that boundary clear about what they can and can't do with your kids.